With the immense amount of evidence spreading about David over the past week, basically everyone's on the same page that he's at least somewhat involved in the death of Celeste Rivas, a 14-year-old girl from Lake Elsinore, California, who went missing around a year and a half ago. And even though it seems undisputable that he was the one who killed her, there are some pretty interesting theories proving otherwise. Obviously, he was still involved in the murder regardless, but maybe he wasn't the one who actually did it, and maybe he was trying to cover something up. According to an article recorded by KTLT5, Celeste Rivas' official date of death was listed as September 8th of 2025 because that is the day death was pronounced. Her body was reportedly badly decomposed, and it's likely that she had been in the vehicle for a much longer time. The place of death is listed as the vehicle because that is where her body was found. The case is being investigated as homicide. The body was so badly decomposed in this situation that it's hard to do an actual investigation on the cause of death. They can't see things like stab wounds if he stabbed her, gun wounds if he shot her, or anything like that. It's even hard to figure out if this was some sort of drug overdose, which is also a possibility. Many people have also created a theory that maybe this was just a drug overdose. And whenever Celeste ultimately passed in David's house, he hid the body in an act of desperation. Because if the cops found out that she died in his house, especially considering the fact that he's allegedly dating this girl, who's by the way 15 years old. I don't know, this is just another very possible theory that may seem a bit crazy, but it definitely could have happened, especially considering that David has been deleting evidence off of his Reddit and Discord ever since fans began making theories and posting pictures of him and Celeste. David is facing backlash online after Redditors accused him of moderating his own subreddit and allegedly deleting posts critical of him amid the police investigation on Celeste Rivas. If this is true, then it just makes it look even worse for David. I mean, bro's just basically trying to cover up all the evidence and even speculations that his fans are making of him. The 20-year-old singer has been accused of deleting posts about his creepy lyrics from his own subreddit after rumors swirled online that he was the only moderator on the forum. The users on Reddit noticed a weird activity on the subreddit and claimed that posts raising concerns about Celeste Rivas and the singer David were reportedly removed. Because David was listed as the sole moderator, Redditors accused him of controlling the narrative to portray himself positively. If he was the only moderator on the forum, then that's actually insane. Him being the only moderator and deleting posts critical of him, trying to expose him for clear evidence that he actually was involved in the murder of Celeste Rivas, or maybe even just the death as we discussed earlier, makes him look even more guilty. If he was actually innocent in this situation, then why is he going around deleting posts of clear evidence that he did the crime? All I'm saying is that if he was innocent, he wouldn't have to do this. He wouldn't be going around deleting posts because, to put it simply, he would know he was innocent. And I've also seen people once again bring up the fact that her parents are also to blame in this situation. Maybe her parents couldn't stop her from running away, but once they found out who she was with, they definitely could have had him arrested for statutory rape and other crimes. They seem like they were indifferent, and perhaps there was financial gain from it. Regardless, this poor girl was let down by everyone in her life. That's true, and it's also important to mention that even if David doesn't get convicted of the charges, it's still blatantly clear that he was dating this 15-year-old whenever she was 14, 13, and 12, despite him obviously being 5 years older. And there's also evidence of him having some sort of sexual relationship with her, which just makes it 10 times worse. If her family actually knew where she was in this situation and was letting her stay with David an actual threat just because he was paying them a lot of money to keep their mouths shut, then that is actually disgusting. And her parents are definitely also to blame in this situation, as they're basically selling their daughter to David just because he has a lot of money. It's insane to me that she had been missing since April of 2021 and no one bothered to look for her. What a major failure by her family and the authorities. It would have been so easy to find her and save her, but they didn't do anything. I bet his friends all knew that she was with him too, and he was making sure that they were keeping quiet. I bet there were a lot of complicit people involved here. I'm sure that most of David's close friends all knew about the situation, but they obviously didn't want to talk about it because they just simply wanted to be around him. You gotta keep in mind, David lived in LA, somewhere where literally everyone wants to make money and everyone wants to be famous. Even though they obviously knew what David was doing was wrong, dating a 15-year-old girl and paying her family off to keep their mouths shut, they didn't want to say anything about it. The parents didn't seem like they put much effort into finding her. They didn't care because she was with an older man. They need to explain their indifference towards their own child. A lot of runaways seem indifferent to people who don't understand what they go through. The police don't look for runaways, especially in LA, that's the truth. She will will admit it. Even if the family knew a little about where she was or who she was with, if the police don't look into it or think it's enough to go off of, your only choice is to drive to LA and walk through Hollywood until you see her and kidnap her back. And that's only gonna blow back on you most of the time, because if you show up at his door, you're potentially committing another crime yourself. It's messed up, but that's how things go in our country. Even after the dead body was found in the back of his car, David would still perform for his tour, singing the songs that are currently being used as evidence against him, as proved foreshadowing for this quote-unquote murder. I mean, the fact that he was still performing while this whole thing was unfolding is shocking to begin with. He had to have known he was on tour, so he couldn't have had anything to do with it excuse wouldn't have lasted for very long. Even if he truly had nothing to do with that child's death and found out the rest of the world did, the grooming allegations are bad. So much coming out by the minute, he's going down one way or another. That's the thing, even if he's proven not guilty for murder, he's still going to be prosecuted by the public and even possibly the law, because he is a literal PDF file, and it's so obvious that he groomed her in the past, even until she ultimately died. I think he lives in a completely delusional world. He actually left a dead body in his car and just assumed somehow it would go unnoticed. And his tour was funeral themed. He definitely leaned into murder and death as an aesthetic. Disgusting. This whole case is so weird. Most people naturally assumed he had nothing to do with it because the dead body was left in a car registered to him. That's like the world's dumbest criminal kind of behavior. Apparently, the Tesla was found abandoned on the street less than a mile from his manager's house. I suspect his manager was supposed to deal with the situation, but he panicked and just left the car and the body on the street and walked back to his house. It was first reported being stolen a month before it was found. Many assumed that the deceased was an adult, no gender or age info. A lot believed it was truly a coincidence. It's crazy that there has been no official acknowledgement of the Tesla having any footage with cameras on those things. With the Tesla being parked at his manager's house before being towed, I definitely think this is also a possibility. Maybe she died, like I said, from an overdose, or maybe he did end up killing her and brought the car to his manager's house and just left it there telling him, hey, you have to deal with this now. Obviously, that's not 100% confirmed, but it's definitely a possibility. On top of the fact that it's weird how the Tesla literally had no camera footage of the situation as it was going down. David's house actually does have crazy camera supervision, and it's been said that they're looking into all of the camera footage as we speak, trying to figure out if he had anything to do with Celeste's death, because overall it just looks super incriminating and damning to him, as all the signs are pointing towards him being the reason why she died. But we're still not 100% sure how it happened. Did he drug her? Did she just have a normal overdose? We're most likely all gonna figure out what happened in this situation in the coming days or months. So if you guys want to know about what happens in the future, then make sure you guys subscribe. I'm posting videos almost every day of updates on this situation, as well as just other pop culture stuff like this. Anyways though, I appreciate you all for watching. It's been your boy Janky, and I'm out. Peace.